What do you think the near future holds in store for the Middle East? Today, Iran sent to Hezbollah $1 billion in order to continue terrorist activities. Also, President Trump is meeting with the new leader of Syria in order to talk about what the future of Syria is going to look like, possible Abraham Accords, who knows? Let's hear what Mike Pompeo's assessment is, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, what his view of what's going to be in the Middle East, and then we'll talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
Today, a landmark meeting between President Trump and Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharar as he becomes the first Syrian leader to ever visit the White House after toppling the Assad regime last year. This meeting comes days after the U.S. lifted sanctions and terrorist designations on the Syrian president after he left al-Qaeda, in 2016. Joining us now is Fox News contributor, former Secretary of State and CIA Director Mike Pompeo. Mr. Secretary, put this in perspective. I know the numbers and the dates, but put it in perspective how unlikely this visit was a few years ago.
Good morning, Brian. Yeah, very unlikely. This leader was someone who was working for al-Qaeda. He was the leader of an organization called HTS, a terror organization who was designated a terrorist by the United States of America. So pretty unlikely, but lots has transpired in Syria. Assad is gone. That is a good thing for the world and for the region, for Israel. Now the task is for him to rebuild his own country, which is deeply fragmented and had over 6 or 7 million people flee the country because of Assad's regime. Now he's got to build it all back together, and without American support like you're seeing today from President Trump and that from Mohammed bin Salman in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, it's not possible. I wish him the best, because if he can get it right in Syria, that would be a good thing for the United States of America.
As you know, Assad Shia, and he's Sunni. It's a majority Sunni country, but Turkey's got a presence there. The U.S. has a presence there, and there's still various terror networks. You got 71 suspected ISIS members are arrested. That is a form of al-Qaeda. 61 raids carried out. A lot of people are concerned about the numbers of Christians who have been targeted. I don't necessarily think it's coming from him, nor does our government. But the one thing I'd like to see happen, Mr. Secretary, is him to say, look, Mr. President, President Trump took a great risk recognizing him, shaking his hand as a favor to MBS. Now I want you to break off relations with Russia. They've been barrel bombing you for the last 12 years on behalf of a renegade leader who's now has a haven in Russia. Why are we allowing them to have this relationship with Russia? We could use leverage to kick Russia out of the country and out of that port.
Yes, Brian, he's going to have to step up and do a lot of things given the support that he's been given, the lifeline that he's been given by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, now by President Trump. And President Trump, I'm sure, will put that to him. Not only kicking the Russians out, I think you're exactly right, but it's a hot mess. We need to make sure that he protects Christians. We need to make sure he protects the Druze that are sitting there on his border. These are religions and sects that are different from his. He says he's going to do that. The proof will be in the pudding. We should also make sure that the primary factor in the region, the Islamic Republic of Iran, isn't an influential player there. So he needs to join the West wholeheartedly. He needs to join the Gulf Arab states and the United States, push back against terror. And if he does that, we can help him build out a united, contiguous Syria. And that would be a really good thing. There's a lot of work to do. It is incredibly complicated, and we need to make sure that his history doesn't dominate his future.
Quick question. Do you think he is going to join the Abraham Accords? Do you think it's likely?
I'm confident that President Trump will ask him to do so, at least tacitly. There's a long way to go before he can do that. He needs to get his political footing. I hope that he will. I hope every nation in the region will do that. It makes sense to simply acknowledge that Israel has a fundamental right to exist. That's at the core of the Abraham Accords. He ought to do it when the time is right.
So, and by the way, Iran's regime, even though they're flat on their back with a huge water shortage, has managed to smuggle $1 billion to Hezbollah. So just when you thought maybe Lebanon could be run by the Lebanese, billions of dollars still pouring into which was once the gold standard of terror groups. How much longer, how much longer until Israel has to take them out again because they've been resupplied?
Brian, Israel is striking into Lebanon with some frequency. So even as we talk here today, the Israelis are watching what Hezbollah is doing. Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, the Shia militias in Iraq, they're not going to go away quietly, Brian. This is going to take continued effort from us, from the Europeans. They've got to get serious about this. The Israelis are going to have to continue to do what they know how to do best, and the Gulf Arab states need to join in pushing back against this. You're exactly right. These guys aren't going to lay down their arms. This is not over. There's still work to be done.
Yeah, and by the way, Jared Kushner meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu today, the administration gets it. Got to let the hostages out, but the work's got to be every single day, because as soon as if the fighting starts again, the whole Abraham Accords stop, because, and if you can get these done and expanded, that will really get us around the bend, perhaps. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, Mr.
Spot
Secretary.
on, Brian. Absolutely true. Thank you. Have a good morning. You too.
Despite the fact that Iran is suffering through a drought right now, they still managed to send Hezbollah $1 billion for terrorist activities. Iran is not going down easy. Even though their nuclear proliferation program has been stopped or halted for at least the good near future, nonetheless, they will continue to facilitate any sort of terrorist activities that they can continue to do in the region with the finances and whatnot that they have. And so I was hoping, still am hoping, that being that Iran is weakened, not only militarily, but also this drought is going to keep them weak, that the people in Iran will rise up and organically regime change, get the Ayatollahs out of there, get a new normal government in its place, return back to what it once was, the glory of what Iran once was. The Persian people are good people. They are Western thinking people as well. And I hope that they have the ability to facilitate a regime change. Not that other countries should get too involved and make it one of those wars that takes years and years, like Iraq, a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of death. Just let the Iranian people organically change it out. That would be the ideal situation. And we do need to see an expansion of the Abraham Accords, with President Trump meeting the current leader of Syria, who is, again, in his own right, has some questions. We have some questions on that and how that's actually going to work out. But going into the Abraham Accords is something that is by far going to be the best thing for this region, certainly better than any other options that have been out there for the past several decades. And so all they have to do, the core, the nucleus of it, is recognizing Israel's right to exist and normalizing relations, which is good for whatever country's engaging, is good for their own economy and good in other ways as well. It's good for the United States, who creating a new culture in the Middle East, where terrorism is not the goal by so many different factions and groups, where the culture is normalization, where the culture is cooperation. This will in itself create a culture where terrorism is minimized, is fought against, is not going to function in the same way. And the less terrorists that there are in the Middle East causing problems in the Middle East, that's the less problems there are for the rest of the Western world as well. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.